So I'm gonna start talking over this. I was late tonight. I wanted to leave enough time in case anybody was watching the Foo Fighters video. Sorry, I'm putting these out this late at night, but I put them out when they're done. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter when they happen. So, is this light bugging anyone like it's bugging me? Hold on 1 second. I got to turn this light off. Don't go anywhere. There we go. Sorry about that. It's just when it's shining right there, I feel like it's shining right in everybody's face. That's much better. I interrupted you watching it. I try to give it enough time. Never mind, I'm back. There you go. Yeah, so the Foo Fighters. You know, I had some of the stuff I didn't go into on that record. The band started with basically Dave Grohl. There was a record before that. And Dave played everything on the first record. And then he put together a band. And his band was featured two of the guys from Sunny Day Real Estate. And the drummer from Sunny Day Real Estate played drums on The Color and the Shape. And I believe what the story is that Dave, oh boy, we get trolls already. Look at this. Here we go. They're all starting. Here we go. So, let's see. Dave re-recorded all the drum parts. That's the long and short of it. He talks about it in one of the documentaries that they did. And he was really stressed out about it. So that's him playing everything. He's not playing the bass on it, but he's pretty much playing everything else. It's all the guitars and it's all the drums. And then he got Taylor Hawkins to play, I believe, right after that when the record came out. He heard him play with Alanis Morissette he was playing with at the time, and he got him from he got him for that. So Dave recorded and asked William to tour on it. Yeah, well, he said no. That's right. But that is a total Dave Grohl drum part. I mean, that's really an amazing, incredibly high energy drum part. One of my favorites of his. I don't know if Pat played any of the guitars on there. I think he's credited on there. I didn't know that Louise from Veruca Salt did some harmony vocals, but Dave was dating her then, I believe. And as you can hear, there's a female singing those harmonies on there. And I don't know if any of you know Veruca Salt. They were a very cool band. I don't know if they're still together. Nina Gordon was the other singer, and Louise Post. I saw them play in New York City at... you're not an hour late, Patrick. We just started. So I saw Veruca Salt play at the New Music Seminar in New York City in 1993. And it was incredibly exciting. It was really, it was at CBGB's. How many of you know CBGB's? I mean, come on, some of you are old enough to know what CBGB's was. CBGB's was the, was the club of choice. I played CBGB's probably about 50, 60 times back in the 80s and through the early 90s. I played there many times. Everyone knows CBGB's. Okay, all right. I mean, I've kind of figured that, but if you're a youngster like Branyan, he's on here. I don't know if he'd ever heard of CBGB's. It was the premier kind of punk rock club in New York City. And there's a guy named Hilly that owned it, that used to book it. I don't know if he's still living. I don't think he is. But I played there many times beginning in the late 80s. And one of the gigs I played there really changed the course of my life. I kind of talked about it in one of my videos, I think. I might not have talked about it, but there was a guy named Howard Thompson that was the head of A&R at Elektra Records. And Howard, British guy, incredibly nice guy, signed me and my friend Alan to a production deal, or not a production deal, to a demo deal in 1989 with Elektra Records. That changed the course of my life because it started, I had never written any songs or anything, and Howard used to, gave us, I don't know, $3,000 or something like that to record some songs, because I'd recorded this demo with Alan, and then it was an 8-song demo, and then we didn't have any songs, so we had to write songs from scratch. And Alan kind of taught me how to write pop songs or rock songs. So Howard, then, we would go down once a month with an 8 to 10 song demo. Every single month we would do. Okay, Hilly passed 10 years ago. Look at that. Every month for a year, we made an 8 to 10 song demo on an 8-track reel-to-reel, Alan and I. So we wrote well over 150 songs or anything. We never got a record deal. And I learned about writing songs from that experience. So that band ended up breaking up in the beginning of 94, which started me on my travels around the world and ending up here in Atlanta. Howard, though, was really the cause of me leaving New York City, because I was living in New York City in January of 94, and Howard came to CBGB's to hear me, or he didn't know, he was coming to see some band, and he looked up on stage and saw me playing with this band, 3-piece band, playing bass. And I didn't know he was going to be there. He was there to see some other band. I get off stage and he said, "What are you doing up there playing with this band? This is a waste of your talent, and you need to quit this band." I can picture Howard saying that to me. I hadn't seen him in a while, probably about a year or so, and just out of the blue, he told me that. Now, I was playing in about 5 bands in New York City at the time. This one band was with a guy named Chris Maxwell, who ended up going on and starting a band called Skeleton Key. I was also in a band called Ivy for about 2 months. And Adam Schlesinger was in that band. They were a really cool band. They're still together, Ivy. It's a female-fronted singer. There's a guitar player named Andy Chase, and Adam Schlesinger played bass in it, and it was a really cool band. Adam Schlesinger is in Fountains of Wayne. He's later on started that. But Howard, the day after Howard saw me and said, "Rick, you're wasting your talent," I got in my car and left New York City and started my travels around the world in that my video about rediscovering rock. And I think that I'll always remember that. That was a real life-changing thing, just having that conversation with him that night at CBGB's. So anyways, so Veruca Salt, I saw, that's what made me go off on that tangent. Veruca Salt played there, probably in the fall of 93 when I was there, and it was or maybe the summer. And my 24-year overnight success, that's right. So I'm here because of CBGB's, in a way. But I'll never forget Veruca Salt then. So it's interesting that Dave that when I looked on the credits for the song tonight, when I was doing the video, I was thinking to myself, who's that singing vocals? That's a female vocalist. Get on there, look at Everlong, and I see Louise Post, and I know Louise Post, and I thought, why would she be on here? And then it was like, Dave Grohl dated her after he broke up with his wife. So Veruca Salt was cool. It was she played a Les Paul, black Les Paul. Louise did, and it was great. They were really exciting. That was the beginning of their career. Everybody was into Veruca Salt, and they got a massive record deal at the time. Those were the days. So it was exciting. 1993. It was that New Music Seminar. I want to say that Nirvana was releasing In Utero, and they did a free show there. I tried to get in it, and I couldn't get in. It would have been my only time to have seen Nirvana, and I could not get in. I was close to getting in, but I couldn't get in there. Otherwise, I would have seen Nirvana debut In Utero. So that was kind of a bittersweet. That was definitely bittersweet. Because you guys know what a big Nirvana fan I am. What's up, Steve? Oh man, 60 in Detroit. Honestly, it was probably 80 here today because I went to the park with my kids, and man, it was hot. Whew, unbelievable. So, did I meet Chris Cornell? I did not meet Chris Cornell. I mean, I saw Chris Cornell play many times. I saw him play with Soundgarden. I saw him play with Audio Slave. I saw him play solo. I saw him play in a lot of different. I saw him play with his group, and his solo records. 19 on the Cape, Peter. Holy smokes! You guys are getting another nor'easter too. Jeez Louise, incredible, unbelievable. Do a Thin Lizzy video. Do a Temple of the Dog video. Anyways, so I put the thing in there tonight about, and I'm glad I did, where I said that, just because I'm only doing one song, because I get kind of, I wouldn't say I get sick of hearing people say, oh, I wish you would have done this song. Oh, I wish you would have done this song. So that's kind of was my answer to that. It's not that I'm not going to do any more songs by Tool or by Steely Dan or by whoever, but I have many, many more. I have many, many more videos to make before that. So 10 requests for every comment. Exactly. When I pick songs, though, I kind of think of, I do look at the requests, though, that people, I look at requests that people make. I had some more current Foo Fighters songs, but Elliot, no problem. I see you there. What about a jazz standard? I thought about today. I thought we were eating breakfast this morning, and we were talking about the soundtrack to Jurassic Park. And yesterday we were listening to it, and I have a big whiteboard. We have a big whiteboard next to the kitchen table, of course, right? So I'll be writing stuff on there for the kids, and Dylan loves that theme, the John Williams theme. So I said, oh, well, let's write it down. I said, what's the first note? And he goes, B flat. Ba, and it starts da da da. And so we said, what's the rhythm, Dylan? He tells me, and then I write it down. I draw the lines and everything, and then so we write it down. We get the whole melody done, and then I said, okay, can you transpose it to other keys? And so he starts singing it in a different key, up a half step. And then he keeps going, then he keeps changing keys, and the kids keep changing keys and singing together. The three of them were all singing together that theme. And I said to Layla and Lennon, I said, well, what part of this, what makes this theme great to Jurassic Park? And they really like the same spots, you know, where there are the interval jumps. You notice that John Williams really knows how to write a melody that people want to hear over and over and that stick in your head. And so I was thinking about doing a video on that. What makes this theme great? Because there are really things about that, the intervals in that melody that make it incredibly cool. And he really did. I talk about it a little bit in one of the John Williams videos. I can't remember. Matt, do what makes the song great for a $1,000 donation. I would do one if I have the tunes. I'll do it. I can always be bribed. Just kidding. But the Steve, do I have any King Crimson multi-tracks? Yeah, probably I do. Honestly, I've got so many that I don't even know how many I have. I just look and I open up stuff. But so yes, fourths and fifths. Who said that? So I mentioned the octave jumps, Jake, in the Superman theme. Is that what I was doing? Yes, I think it was. But no, it starts. John Williams always talks about how he will spend weeks with 100 permutations of a melody until he gets just the right one that you can never, ever get out of your head. And then, of course, he puts the perfect, harmonies behind it as well. But I'm thinking about doing that, though. How in your words did 11 or 12 notes come to be standard in 7/8 of a scale in the first place? Well, that's a perfect thing for a video. Brian, when mixing, do you use the same reverb on instruments to keep them in the same space, or do you mix them up? You mix them up. You missed one Van Halen double K. It was some troll. Man, the trolling yesterday on the live stream I did when my friend Daryl was here crashed the stream. It actually, when I was trying to ban people, they were happening so fast that I couldn't. I was doing it so fast, it just crashed it, and I had to restart it. It was really lame. I can't use that channel for live streaming unless I have a moderator, and I get way too distracted by all that stuff. It was It was really not fun. I felt bad. My buddy Daryl was here, and it was, it was just. I mean, people there couldn't see how many, because a lot of the trolling is restricted because of the language. I don't think you guys see it. Maybe you guys do see it. Do you guys see what people write when they're when they're grayed out? Because Charles Banson, that's pretty good. Ray, you've been saving that, right? You can see it. Yeah, I don't think you can see it. My filters work well, but I see them, and they were just kept popping up. I mean, just really awful stuff. And I had to scroll up because they were going by so fast. There is a way to slow down the chat. I need to figure that out now. But honestly, Antonio Banderas, honestly, because of this series, is what makes this song great. I get a lot of trolls on there. Vincent Van Gogh. Some of the tros, Eli, are definitely automated. Aaron, it's fascinating. When Aaron came here to work, he was explaining to me about bots. They're not trolls. They're bots. And this is really interesting. So, I put out a video a long time ago, and they're spam bots. I put out a video, and it got 5 dislikes within the first 3 seconds of it being out. Now that the chats are saved, you can delete all the trolls after the fact. Yeah, I guess you could. Happy St. Patrick's Day, Kinch. I missed St. Patrick's Day there for you. Sorry. But David Banner, that's pretty good. Anyway, so Aaron then figured out a way to delete some of these trolls, to block them. But at the time, there was a really bad trolling problem. Did the bots give the stream thumbs down? They do give you a thumbs down when you delete them. So anyways, that's so YouTube was going through and getting rid of bots once a week. They would do them on Sundays, and you would notice that you would lose subscribers, whatever, a few hundred or so, just out of the blue. Everybody would do it. So, yeah, other streams are totally out of control. So I talked to, I'm ready to get my merge thing happening this week. I've had designs that I've been waiting on, but I've been researching where to do the manufacturing and printing of the T-shirts, hats, everything. I talked to Amy Nolte and Adam Neely in the last 2 days about where they get theirs, and they both get them from different places, and I think their deals are about the same or so. This is Anna's. Brandon, you want the black shirt with the black writing on it, right? Like Vinyl Tap, or like Metallica, like the Metallica record. You can purchase Spam Farms, Frederick says, like you can likes and comments. There's a good troll blocker. There's really great. The T-shirt will be black, of course, Robert. Anyways, Alabama. No, come on, Tim. That's a stretch. Brett, Amy's got a pretty sophisticated. I'm going to buy one of her T-shirts, and I'm going to buy one of Adam's. I want to see, since it's from two different companies, I want to see how fast they come, how they're packed. I think that's a good thing to do. I'm going to do that in the morning. So let's see. Question: I've always referred to sus 2 or sus 4 as suspended 2 or suspended 4th. Never call them sus. No, it's just that's just shorthand. It's suspended, but it's too much writing for that. You know, it's interesting. So Carol, my new assistant, she where's a marker? I want to get your opinion on this, everybody here. Let me give you a piece of paper. Hold on. Hold on. Where's some paper when you need it, you know? Oh, over here. Hold on. Got it. Oh, okay, so we were working on some of the last bits of the new Beato book, the updated version. So I did this. I wrote this, and she said, "What is this?" And I said, "That's D minor 6/9." Well, she says, "Well, I've never seen that before." I said, "What are you talking about? You've never seen it before?" I said, people have been using that for 40 years. So I go over to the real book, and I pull out the real book, and I look in there, and I don't see that. I'm thinking, okay. Well, I've been using it for 40 years. Then I looked it up. And, of course, it's all over the place. I mean, you guys have seen that, right? No, I mean, you could do this. You could do that. But that looks weird to me. I don't like that. I mean, when I go like this, when I write that, E minor 9/11, well, the minor 9, it implies that there's a 7th in there, you know? I mean, just, if it has a 9th, it's got a 7th, so you don't have to write that. If there's one alteration in it, you know, then you just would write it. You know, if it's a minor 11 chord, I just write it like that, E minor 11, right? Or I could write, I might write this. If I want a specific voicing of it, I might write this. D sus 4 over E, okay? So we give you the notes D, G, A over E, right? Right there. Where is it? There. Which gives me an E minor 11 chord. That's an exact voicing, though, right? E minor 11. So that equals E minor 11. This is more descriptive. That tells me exactly the voicing, because some people might not do that. Now, other people use add. Here's another thing that Aaron and I always have a discussion on when I write this. Let's say this chord, G sus 4 3. Well, some people say, well, it should be, you should say G major add 4. Okay. But to do G major add 4, what do you do? How do you write G major? M-A-J add 4? To me, that doesn't G add 4. G add 11. Well, it's not 11. Depends on where it is. If it's right in the middle of the chord where you're not doing anything, you know, where it's in the same octave, it would be an add 4. That's just implying, and that's how I would typically use it. You know, not all the times, but I'm saying that that's how I would write that chord. You know, I mean, I guess you could write, you could write a G triad add 4, right? But to me, G sus4 3, it means, or sus4 add 3. Why would you write add 3? You've already written sus, so you got 3 letters there. Then you put another thing, just G sus4 3. So that's if there's no third in it, it's an 11. No, 11s imply that there's a 7th in a chord. Okay, anytime you have an 11, it implies that there's a 7. If I have a B11 chord, see, Ramon just wrote B sus4 add 3, but that takes up way too much space, right? So, Eric says there's 1,000 different ways to write stuff. You should find stuff that is the shortest way possible to write it, where it doesn't take up as much space. So something is going to be it depends on if it's going to be a 4th or 11th, depending on if there's a 7th. So if it's a B11 chord, and I have this voicing B A C sharp E, right? Well, what did I say? I basically spelled an A major chord with a B in the bass. Well, the A is the 11th, C sharp is the 9th, and the E is the 11. Wait, what did I say? The A is the flat 7, I mean. So there you go. So on the guitar, it would be this. So this kind of a chord here. Root, flat 7, 9, 11. But if it was sus4, it would be down here, right? The 4th would be, would be here, right? That would be a sus4, right? Or sus4, sus4 add 9. That would be a sus4 and the 9th. So sus4 add 9. But it's not really an add 9 because it doesn't what you call it. I would just call it sus4/9. So here's the 11th function because it has the flat 7 in it, right? Here's the function as just a sus4. So it's in the same octave. Okay, but if you count this note, E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 notes from the 11 notes from the root, right? So that chord could be a dominant chord if you resolve it like that. You could resolve it like that too, but that's a 11. G add 11. You wouldn't write add 11, Rodrigo. That's the thing. G add 11. Well, you could have the 4th. No, that's not true. You're right. You could have add 11, so the 11 would be up here. But you'd only have a triad below it. You know, you'd have to have something like this, which is a great sound. That would be a G major. That wouldn't be a G11. G11 would be that, you know. But G11 would be right there. I've got the 3rd, 5th root. There's your 11 right there. Sounds like a sus4. It's really a sus4/3 because I have that flat 9 interval right there. So, anyways, that's how that works. But as long as you know what it is, that's all that matters. It's making the stuff clear. And honestly, most of the stuff doesn't even, you know, come into play unless you're playing gigs with people. Robert, this could be a subject of future video. You hurt your hands to watch you play it. Brett, C major 9 over G. Okay, there you go. When do you sharp the 11? Whenever you want to. It's, you know, it's personal choice. Yeah, so anyways, that's, I think maybe I will do a video on that, on nomenclature, because I think it's important. Do I do one-on-one lessons online? I do not, Dylan. No, I do not. Dylan plays guitar. Oh, don't ask me about the Hard Day's Night chord. Sharp the 11th in the Lydian mode. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what the sharp 11 is. So I'm going to make a note of that. Joe, 9, 11, 13, depending on the function being applied to, 4, they function differently. Exactly. You know, some of the places where it's not clear, I'll give you an example. The altered dominant scale. Okay. Now, if I'm going to spell a chord, like a C7 sharp 5 flat 9, okay? I'm going to spell it. I would spell it CE, right? 1 3 B flat, there's your flat 7. C G sharp B flat, there's your sharp 5, right? G sharp would be your sharp 5. And then D flat would be your flat 9. Well, in the scale, though, the altered dominant scale, or diminished whole tone, or super Locrian, is 1, flat 2, flat 3, flat 4, flat 5, flat 6. So, theoretically, that should be a flat 13, okay? The way it comes in the scale. But, you know, when you're talking a sharp 5, that means augmented, which means the sharp 5th. So when is it a flat 13 and when is it a sharp 5? Well, you know, ultimately it doesn't really matter as long as you know how to use the chord, what to play over it, you know, how to use it in melody writing. Frederick, yes, when is it? Exactly. So yeah, it's tricky. So you'll see flat 13s, you'll see sharp 5s, and you have things like flat 5s versus sharp 4s. The mixed sharp 11 scale, you have a sharp 4 and a natural 5th. But in the whole tone scale, you have a flat 5 and sharp 5, or maybe you have a sharp 4 and sharp 5, right? C, D, E, F sharp, that would be whole tone scale, G sharp, A sharp, right? Or B flat. I mean, what is it? That's really the question. In that case, you have a sharp 4 and sharp 5. What's up, Carol? And Michelle. Oh, man. Carol, Michelle, I know you guys are up to no good. You shouldn't be up this late. Elliot says, I usually define it as a sharp 5 when there's 11th present in the chord. So in that case, that's like the altered scale, Elliot, so which has a sharp 11 and then a sharp 5, or Lydian augmented. I would say, though, that that the voicing really kind of depends on sometimes for shorthand, you know, thinking about a song like Stella by Starlight, when it gets to the A flat 7 chord, there's a, you know, after the Ba ba. Let's see. Ba da 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 da. Right there. So there's now that's an A flat 7 flat 5, but there's your fifth there. But if you look at the chart, you'll see A flat 7 flat 5. But you could do, right? You could play a whole tone sound over it, but most people don't. It doesn't really sound right. So, but if you look at the chart, though, it's going to say flat 5 in it. But you're totally right, Elliot, that that would really, if you're gonna, you'd say A7 sharp 11, but you don't really find that written in jazz. It's unusual unless you have it, unless you have a specific voicing that you'd play, like if I played, if I was playing like a Lydian scale, like I wouldn't call this A flat major 7 flat 5. I call it A flat major 7 sharp 11, right? That is more of a Lydian. You're going to have it be a Lydian there. So you wouldn't say A flat major 7 flat 5. It's interesting because I never thought about this, but that flat 5 typically only you talk about that only when you're dealing with dominant chords usually, because you use flat 5 when minor 7 flat 5 because there is no flat fifth in there. If there's a natural fifth present in the voicing, you call it sharp 11. With flat 13, it's like you're saying it's all in the voicing. Yes. Brett, D is in the melody. D is in the melody. There you go. Ba, 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 ba. Da, 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 da. Yes. So D is in the melody, which is probably why it's written that. I was telling my friend Daryl, though, he was playing these changes that are in the real book yesterday on Stella when we were playing it afterwards, and when he goes to what was it? Right here. And he said, "What are you doing there?" Because typically in the real book you'd see you go F major 7, E half diminished to A7 to A half diminished, right? But to me, this is much stronger of a, I mean, it just kind of, I think it leads the listener's ear a little bit better. So, but that's all bass motion. Anyways, so that's what I was telling Daryl, that's what most players that I know play. But honestly, you play anything there. It really depends on what records you listen to. Also, the thing was that he was playing B flat major 7 in the bridge, right? Da, 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 da. But I said da 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 da. I use, and I said use diminished there for 1 bar, B flat diminished, then play B flat major 7 for 1 bar. What was it in? No. 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 Elliot says, I talked to Elliot. Elliot is a composition professor. For those of you that don't know, and Elliot's dad, William Thomas McKinley, was an amazing composer and an incredibly great human being as well. And, talking about the voice leading and the harmony, there's a lot of things like that, dominant or that diminished substitution for the tonic chord that you see it in Jobim a lot there. That to me are just standard things that everybody knew back, when I was in college. Those were kind of common things because we all played bossa novas, and you knew Jobim's voice leading, and you learned those kind of substitutions from that stuff. But that, as virtually 2 generations have passed since I was in college, almost, right? I finished my undergrad in 1984. 20 years as a generation. So Brett, it does have C. Has C in the melody there. Let's see. Has C in the melody. Oh yeah. Does have C in the melody, but anyway, so those kind of substitutions there, on the B flat chord, that's true. I was thinking about this though, that that just like in the Olio version that Miles plays on Relaxin', the last chord in the tune is they end on A major over B flat, which is really, really cool. This is what I was thinking. I lost my train of thought, as I do a lot. So I was watching this. Brett, I was thinking of you last night because I thought you might know the answer to this. There's a Metheny lesson on YouTube that it's a really long lesson. It's got 100 and something thousand views, and I listened to it yesterday. And I remember hearing it years ago, but I don't know why Metheny was teaching this guy who was terrible. But Metheny said, if you have great time, you can play anything. You can just play the chromatic scale. And he said Michael Brecker had great time and could play anything. But then he said beep, and it was cut out. He was talking about some other sax player who doesn't have good time. And I was wondering, Brett, if you knew who he was talking about. He also talked about other guitar players. He talked about Wes and Jim Hall, but then he mentioned some other guitar player, and it was cut out too. And you know who? You can email me if you want. You can text me. Write me, because I want to know, but I don't want to. I want to know who it is. That was. I think I know who it is, but I thought to myself, and I was saying to my friend Daryl yesterday. He goes, "Who do you think he's talking about?" I said, "I think I know, but I bet I bet that." I know who you're talking about. Yes. Yep. That's who I thought. And my buddy Daryl actually asked me if it was you know who, and I said, yeah, I think it is. I said, but I bet Brett will know who he's talking about. It was interesting that they cut that out of the thing. It's really it's really interesting that that they cut that out. Somebody asked, Matt asked me if I tried out a MiG 100H. I own a MiG 100H, Matt, and they're killer. They're great heads, 100-watt heads. They're a modded Marshall JCM 800 with way more bottom end, and they have 6L6s in there. Chuck, he did Metheny did a legendary review of Kenny G back then. No, that's not who he's talking about, though, Chuck. He's not talking about Kenny G. I know, we are geeks. We know about beeps in an obscure video. I know. I don't know how that got out there, though. Who is the guy taking lessons there? Somebody must have paid Metheny $10,000 or something for that. Come on, who is it? I don't want to say. It's interesting, though, that Pat must have known he was being recorded, of course. Why would he say those things on tape? Eli says, how many amp reviews discuss bottom end, then all the guitars get high pass in the studio? Well, you don't high pass them. You don't high pass them, when you're tracking, really, necessarily. So, there was another question. It wasn't Branford, though. I'll say that. No, Branford has great time. Let's see here. There was another question back here. Let me see. What's my favorite jazz composition with an alternate tuning on guitar? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is. I have to think about it. Thaddeus says, one of the saddest instructional videos with Joe Pass in the 80s. Poor guy seemed really out of it. What's up, Andrea? Good to see you. Welcome. It was not David Sanborn. No. Did the warm weather help my hand? Oh, man, I'm... hand feels great right now. Except for this. index finger, but that's, you know, but the hand feels good. Did I ever study with Ted Green? No. I want to say Ted died in the 90s or so. Yeah. I'm trying to think of you know, guitar things that are in alternate tunings. Anyways, there's a lot of great. Obviously, Joni Mitchell has incredibly great tunings on her. Yeah, I mean, her, it's unbelievable. Have I heard any of the Big Wreck stuff? Yes, I know Thornley. Phase dance guitar. Phase dance is interesting, Peter, because phase dance is done with a Nashville tuning guitar, which is, for those of you that don't know, it's E, A, D, G of a 12 string, single strings though, and then B, E, regular tuning, is how Metheny did phase dance. I think I might have a Nashville guitar. Hold on, let me see. I might have one here. I'm not sure. Let me see. Hold on. It's interesting. This guitar here, this is so I have a Taylor 12 string and I've got this Yamaha. Okay, and I was thinking about turning this into a Nashville tuning. So in order to do that, you got to take off some strings. So you take off the big strings. I'm going to make a Nashville tuning right now here. And then, let's see here. If I do, so I go there. Let me see here. I don't know if I have any string cutters here. That's the problem. So I guess the bottom one gets taken off here. Yeah. So right now, that would be, if I didn't have the strings flopping around, that would be a Nashville tuned guitar here. So a lot of people use Nashville tuned guitars. They use them for double tracking. They use them for a lot of stuff. But phase dance is a Metheny tune. Speaking of an alternate tuning, what Peter said rightly, that is an alternate tuning on guitar. Is you know, one tune that's not the only tune that Pat uses that Nashville guitar on. There's something on New Chautauqua, one of the tunes on New Chautauqua that has the Nashville tuning, I believe. I think Heritage, is that one? Or no, I'm sorry, Hermitage. I think it is. Anybody know that? Let's see. O for slide. Yeah, I think that that I've used Nashville tuning guitars a lot. Use them for double tracking, things like that. But you can really You can honestly do this same stuff with just playing different inversions. The thing about having a Nashville tuned guitar is that it's helpful if you can't transpose the stuff to different octaves. I mean, but if you're a decent musician, you can just play the stuff in a different octave, and it's no, it's not a big deal or anything. But I think that, yeah, I can't pull these pins out. Ugh. I got a little thumb pick here, or finger pick here. I bet that'll do it. Let's see. Maybe not. Yeah, well, I'm going to demonstrate this. I'm going to make this a Nashville tuned guitar, and I'll demonstrate it for you guys tomorrow night. It's cool, Nashville tunings, and I'll come up with a couple. I'll come up with a couple songs that actually use Nashville tuning. But it's really cool. There's actually an interesting Frank Gambale tuning that he has on one of his videos that I think is it's really interesting. He talks about it, describes this specific tuning that I've never tried, but I was going to check it out sometime. Didn't David Gilmour use Nashville tuning on Hey You? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Rolling Stones Angie is Nashville tuned. I don't think that's true. No, that's definitely not true. Yeah, Frank does it to get piano voicings. Eric, when is the new Beato book supposed to come out? The updated version? Christian is hopefully going to send me the mock-up tomorrow for revisions. So I still have a few more little things to do tomorrow. Carol did a lot of the extra things that I wanted to add to it, but it's coming along great. It's going to be killer. All right, well, listen, I'm good for tonight. I got to get moving here. I got stuff to do, and I got stuff to do. I gotta work tonight still. You can tell that I'm wait, Andy says one thing off subject. Color temperature of my display to 56 or warm to match your tungsten room nights. Stop you looking for blue. Or you can change the room lighting. That's a good call on that. Oh, wild horses. Oh, well, that could very well be possible. This is great. Okay, you guys are awesome. Tomorrow we'll talk. Can I review Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds? Harmonies are tonal, modal. You're lost. I love that. All right, thank you, everybody.